Right ahead on CCX News, understanding the new tax law. A Robbinsdale accountant breaks down the changes and tries to clear up confusion. Plus, the rise of potholes. Why one road in Brooklyn Park is especially troublesome. And
I really enjoy helping them. I love coming here. I never miss a day coming here.
two unlikely groups come together in Golden Valley to bridge the technology gap. CCX News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Renslow. It is the time of year for filing taxes, and while this tax season will remain the same as years past, 2018 taxes will look much different. Emily Ragoose has the breakdown of the changes to the tax law.
In the dark about the 2018 tax changes? You're not alone.
Have you heard anything at all about the changes coming for 2018 with the taxes?
Not so much.
So what questions would you maybe have for your accountant?
All of them.
Even if you've heard of the changes, there's a good chance you might be confused.
I don't worry extremely about it. I would just make sure you're not putting it out of your mind with the changes, because I don't want anybody to be shocked at tax time.
Accountant Joy Padilla-Berg says that the biggest change is exemptions are gone, and the standard deduction has roughly doubled.
If you are just two people in your family, it seems to be beneficial because you're losing $8,000 but you're gaining $12,000.
But if you have a larger family, you could feel some pain. That includes Padilla-Berg, who has 3 kids.
Thousands of dollars. So, because I have self-employment as well, and so yeah, it'll be thousands of dollar impact on my tax return.
The tax rate bracket is also changing, with the lower and middle brackets dropping roughly 3%, which has contributed to people seeing more money in their paychecks.
Because some of them have seen already in their paychecks they're getting more take-home pay. And so, oh, yay. But then I also do see concern because they're like, oh, I've never had this much coming home. Is that going to be okay at tax time?
Padilla-Berg says the change will increase your taxable income, which would likely lower your refund or cause you to owe.
We do want them to save so they're not shocked at tax time if it is possible to save.
Still confused? Padilla-Berg says sit down with an accountant to get specific information for your situation.
It's always quite a prep getting things lined up, and once I have my things semi in order, it's a good feeling to hand them off to somebody that knows what they're doing.
In Robbinsdale, Emily Ragoose, CCX News.
The tax deductions and exemptions are temporary and set to expire in 2025. U.S. Senator Tina Smith paid a special visit to Northport Elementary in Brooklyn Center Friday. Smith is on the Education Committee, and this is one of the first schools that she's visited since being sworn in as senator. She read to a 3rd grade class during her visit, and afterwards she addressed the school shooting in Florida with the media.
What happened in Florida earlier this week is heartbreaking. I am a mom. I think about all of the children that walked through the doors of this building today and the parents that left them to go into this beautiful school, trusting that they were going to be safe. It is unacceptable that we can't do something about this epidemic of gun violence that is taking so many lives in this country.
Smith says she supports universal background checks. Smith also wants a ban on military-style assault weapons with high-capacity magazines. It's a rough road on some roads where potholes are popping up. This stretch of Grove Parkway near the Target campus looks especially bad. Officials say when the road was built, the asphalt mix wasn't top quality, so the road is more porous, making it easier for water to seep in and cause problems. Despite the issue, Public Works officials say now is not the time to reconstruct the whole road.
Well, right now the plan is for a few years from now the light rail is going to come up West Broadway and it's going to end up by Target. So at that time that street would be reconstructed or newly constructed as part of that project. So it doesn't really make sense for us now to rip everything out and do that and then 3 years from now have it ripped out again.
For now, crews will use a cold mix to temporarily fill in holes, and then when the temperatures warm up they can use a hot mix for a more permanent solution. A Golden Valley grocery store will celebrate a milestone this weekend. The Lunds and Byerlys, right off of Highway 100, opened 50 years ago this month, and that was as the store's first Byerly store. The store plans a celebration Saturday with specials and opportunities to meet the makers of some of your favorite local products. The celebration will ring true to the history of the store, which broke the traditional grocery store model when it opened in 1968.
It had a legendary series of firsts, carpeted floors, chandeliers, in-store meat and seafoods, deli, in-store restaurant, lots of very first things that he carried on to his other stores.
The anniversary celebration runs from noon to 4 p.m. on Saturday. The state legislative session begins Tuesday, and today we hear from a Plymouth lawmaker about her priorities. Mike Johnson sat down with Sarah Anderson, who starts out by addressing school funding.
We put in more money towards our school districts, $1.35 billion overall, 2% and 2% on the formula. But I think going into the next legislative session too, there's some challenges with teacher shortages and so forth. We did some work on that, but there's obviously more work always to be done. So
another school issue is called lunch shaming, when a child can't eat a hot lunch at school because the parents haven't paid the bill. And it's surprising that we still hear about this, but I guess we are.
Yeah, you know, I worked on that issue in 2014. We thought we had solved the problem, but we still have school districts that are dumping trays in front of children. And it shouldn't be the fault of the child. We need to take the child out of the equation, and so we're going to do some legislation to make sure that kids are not stigmatized in school.
Is that a special fund for that kind of thing?
We're going to set up a fund that people can put money towards to help kids. I know every school district typically has a fund like that. We're going to do that, but then we're also going to tighten the language that if you're not complying with this law, there will be consequences for the schools.
Right, tax conformity, an issue everybody's talking about, and everybody's got a different take on it. What's yours?
Well, we need to take a look at this issue, how the federal tax bill impacts Minnesotans and what we can do to address some of those changes that we have, because we want to make sure that you don't have to do tax gymnastics, if you will, to file your taxes.
So 2019 could be messy for taxpayers if nothing is done.
It will definitely be messy if we don't get some kind of relief there.
In your district, there is a bridge that people would like to replace, and that could be part of the bonding bill.
Yes, so the Rockford Road Bridge that hasn't had some work done on it in a long time. It's deteriorated. The city of Plymouth has been advocating for some funds being dedicated to that. So it is the bonding year, and hopefully that will be part of the bonding package if that goes through.
And there's a lot of talk about the size of what a bonding legislation should be. I think the governor wants $1.5 billion. A lot of people say that's maybe too much. How much discussion will that get?
Well, we did a bonding bill last year, and typically we only do one every 2 years, and so I think that's some of the discussion around bonding and how that works. I think when we're looking at it from our perspective, we're trying to make sure that it's for infrastructure. So things like the Rockford Road Bridge, there's some rail-safe way crossways that we're trying to address. I know Plymouth has that as a priority as well. So if it goes through, we want to make it focused on infrastructure.
And we'll be right back. Chances are you've had a few frustrating moments with a new phone or trying to install software updates. But thanks to some Armstrong High School students, those problems don't seem so bad. Shannon Slatton explains.
I had a laptop, Windows 8.
No matter how tech savvy you become,
my son sent me this.
Sometimes new technology,
it's a Windows 10,
can get you down.
I hate it.
We've all been there.
Oh.
Seniors at the Calvary Center Cooperative come together once a month with their tech woes.
I come every month. I try. It seems like I have a new problem every time, and it's usually my iPhone or it's my laptop.
So how would you do it?
And they look to a much younger generation for answers.
I was having issues getting to my emails.
A year ago, the senior community reached out to Armstrong High School students to help bridge the digital divide.
They're getting their problems solved. Some of them are learning how to use a phone,
phone, a laptop that they've never really used because they've gotten frustrated.
We're just going to set one up for you real quick.
Trying to learn.
Oh, I see.
But organizers have found there's much more than just a tech benefit here.
What our students bring to the table is the technology expertise, and what the seniors bring to the table is life experience.
It's really fun to get to know people on a more personal basis, I guess. People that I generally don't talk to, like usually I just talk to, teenagers my age.
The teenagers have discovered they like connecting with seniors too.
I love coming here. I never miss a day coming here. I love coming every time to help them.
Sometimes they discover they have much more in common than first thought.
He just told me a nice story about the Navy, and I'm trying to join the Navy.
Every once in a while, after the gadgets are put away,
she got 2 in.
A game of pool breaks out. And the gap that separates these two generations closes.
It's nice to have the young kids come over.
The program is called Students Mentoring Seniors.
It's very popular. In fact, we had somebody who was here for the first time this morning, and I talked with him when he left, one of our members, and he said it was 100% good.
But sometimes it's tough to see just who is mentoring who.
No one has asked for help on Snapchat, but I hope I'm here when they do, because I can definitely help them out.
In Golden Valley, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
Still ahead, an onstage performance some call a total knockout. But first, it is a great day for local skiers at the State Nordic Meet. John Jacobson has the highlights up next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. Nordic skiers and teams from the northwest suburbs have fared very well at the state meet in recent seasons. That trend continued Thursday at Giants Ridge in Biwabik. Wayzata's Mara McCollar starting first in the girls' pursuit format. Lucia Anderson of Armstrong starts second. McCollar holds her lead and races to the state title. Her winning time for the two races, 31 minutes, 48.3 seconds. She holds off Hannah Bettendorf of Proctor to win by 16 seconds. Anderson of Armstrong loses some ground, but still comes in fifth place in a time of 33.16. The Falcons place third as a team. Freshman Lauren McCollar in blue on the right comes in 16th for Wayzata. They are 8th as a team. May Barnes of Armstrong cracks the top 20 as well, finishing in 19th place. Then it's the boys' turn. Luke Golan is one of 3 Wayzata guys in the top 5 to start. It's a close race at the end. Grand Rapids senior Garrett Beckrich holds his lead, and he wins in a time of 28:45.7. Anders Sonneson of Wayzata on the right pushing to get second, just ahead of teammate Golan, who is in third. Wayzata's James Schneider is fifth. The Trojans take the team title, edging Stillwater by 2 points. Here's what the top 2 finishers had to say.
I think it was a really good day. I skied pretty strong in the skate race, which I was really happy about. The classic race, being chased, is kind of nerve-wracking, but it's always fun to ski against these girls.
A couple guys who are in like 114th and 115th that we needed to move up for us to win, and they pulled it out with some really good races.
Most of our local high school gymnastics teams compete in Section 5AA. It's one night to showcase skills and minimize mistakes in order to advance on to state. Champlin Park, Maple Grove, Osseo, Park Center, and Wayzata among the teams competing in 5AA. On even bars is Maple Grove's Emma Ungard. She scores an 8.975, qualifies for state along with teammate and all-around runner-up Nadia Abed. On the balance beam, Champlin Park, Sydney Eckert finished second. Her teammate Kara McElmurray is also a beam state qualifier. Park Center's Annika Lee is headed to state in 3 events, including the floor exercise, where she lands with a score of 9.5. The bars, vault, and floor exercise champion this night is Champlin Park freshman Cheney New. She's headed back to defend her state all-around title from a year ago. The all-around champion this night, though, is Wayzata's Grace Trainer. She wins the beam and finishes second on both floor and bars, where she scores a 9.725. We'll have more highlights from this meet next week on our Sports Jam show here on CCX. Here are the final team scores. Champlin Park with a 147.65 wins ahead of defending section champion Maple Grove. Wayzata's third, followed by Rogers, Park Center, Irondale, and Osseo. Here's what 2 of the state gymnasts had to say after the meet.
It meant a lot. We all worked together and did our routines how we do in practice, and we all hit our routines it means so much to come back this year, and we're all such a young team, so we just have so much more we have such big goals.
It means a lot, because last year I had vault, that was kind of my weak event, and this year I was able to switch it around and get it up there, so I'm proud, I'm happy.
The Blake School moved from Class A to AA this season, making Breck the favorite in the Section 5A girls hockey tournament. The top-seeded Mustangs were challenged for the section title Thursday night when they met second-seeded Orono. Second period, Emily Zumwinkle takes a shot. Carly Bienick buries the rebound for a 1-0 Breck lead. That's the score after 2. Third period, Gabby Billings makes the rush for the Mustangs. The shot is stopped, but freshman Sadie Lindsay puts the rebound in. It's 2-0 Breck with under 9 minutes to play. But Orono rallies. Sydney DeBakelis in front of the Breck net scores, and that's 2-1. Under 40 seconds to go in the game. Isla Rizkamp stuffs the wraparound in. It's tied at 2, and the teams go to overtime. The game winner comes quickly. Breck's Ali Qualley crashes the net and scores off the feed from Ashley Halverson. It's a 3-2 Mustangs win. They're section champions and headed to state for the first time since 2012. Live basketball tonight, Hopkins at Wayzata. Back with more in a moment.
And finally, you can say Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo is continuing its hard-hitting ways. Neil Persley has more in Weekend Showcase.
Taking the wrong turn because they told me there was a boxing match here tonight.
It's based on the life of Jack Johnson, an African-American boxer back in the early 1900s.
The Yellow Tree Theater's latest gem is the Royale, and as you would imagine in a story about a boxer, the action on stage takes place in the ring.
He looks in the mirror. Ha! When he looks in the mirror, come on! He won. Ha ha! He won. What you doing, boy? Go.
Brooklyn Center resident Austin Van does a skillful job directing this gripping saga of a talented, fiery, and flamboyant man rising to the top of his sport.
But the underlying story is the desire to just be, and to not only champion for humanity and your culture and human rights, but also to be an advocate of self.
When I say break, I want 3 steps back. I don't get that, you don't get paid. Now make those gloves bump nice and easy.
Jackson dreams of being the heavyweight champion of the world, but it's 1905, and the sport of boxing is still racially segregated. The story is told in 6 rounds, and David Murray delivers a performance that will leave you stunned.
Sometimes you gotta fight your way to living, to stay. Sometimes you gotta fight so hard to live in, to stay.
For Weekend Showcase, Neil Persley, CCX News.
The Royale is on stage through March 4th. For tickets and times, you can go to yellowtreetheater.com. And that's all the news for us. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.